Good afternoon, everyone. So this video is going to be demonstrating the in-class techniques that we did this week using chalk pastels and oil pastels. So on a much larger piece of paper, you're going to take some tape and create 4 little squares at the top and 4 squares on the bottom. So you're going to make a 4x6 grid. And then on each grid, starting from the left, we are going to label it two-tone blending, like scrumbling, two-tone blending with your finger, side stroke, little stroke, and this one is going to have the word oil pointing to the third one. The top row is going to be dedicated to chalk pastels, and the bottom row is going to be dedicated to the oil pastels. So getting started with the chalk pastels is I'm going to grab a light color and a dark color. So I'm grabbing yellow and a blue. Starting with the dark color, I'm going to, break my pastel. Going to fill my square halfway using like a scrumbling or scribbling motion. Then picking up my second color, I'm going to fill the remaining and move halfway into the square using my pastel to create a third color of green or whatever blended color you are using in there. So you're using the pastel to create the blend. The thing with pastels, even oil, is using your tool to create a blend. Your colors are going to remain vibrant and a little bit on the denser side. I'm even going to move into my color here. So the tendency that you are going to want to do when working with chalk pastels is to blow on your paper. Kindly not do that. So you're just going to carefully lift up your paper and tap your paper on your tabletop surface to get that loose pigment off your paper, right? So that is the two-tone blending with the scribbling motion. I'm going to put my 2 colors away. I'm going to snag 2 different colors. Still going with the one light and one dark. I'm grabbing a pink and a green, but I'm going to go white this time because that's lighter. Okay, so using a similar motion, I'm going to fill my first color in halfway and grabbing my second color, fill it in halfway too. Okay. The only difference is I'm going to use my finger to blend the 2 colors together. Okay. The thing I want you to notice is that the color pigment is going to be a lot looser or not as vibrant, almost like mattified. So if it does that and you're not happy with the saturation or the level of lightness and darkness of your colors, you can just go back over with your colors and blend from there. Okay. So that is two-tone blending with your finger with chalk pastels. All right, moving into the third category of side stroke. Side stroke is where you're going to be taking your pastel. I'm going to use orange and a kind of like a dark green this time. And you're going to use the broad side of your pastel. I'm going to break these in half so I can actually do this correctly. So you're going to take your color, it doesn't matter which color, and you're going to drag it along the length of your paper. When you're using chalk pastel, what I like to use a textured paper, so like a watercolor paper or construction paper, because that broad side is going to pick up that raised and lowered texture. So I'm just going to go back in and really work on blending that. Okay, that's side stroke. You can really do this really to get like a texture. If let's say you were running to create like a wall or some kind of sandy surface or a leather surface. There's that. Okay. Moving back to the last column on the top, which is little stroke. So you're going to take your light color and you're going to do a flicking quick motion. Little strokes are really good if, let's say, you're wanting to do like a field of some kind or fur. Then I'm going to take my lighter color and go back in, layering that color on the top. And like that. Okay, so those are kind of the 4 blending techniques for chalk pastel. I'm going to quickly put these away, and then I'm going to get out the oil pastels. You're going to be using similar blending techniques used with chalk pastel for the oil pastel. The only difference is one. So we are going to do a 2-tone scrumbling using oil pastel, starting on the lower left-hand corner. I'm going to start with my darker color, and I'm going to do a scribbling motion, fill halfway, picking up my lighter color, scribbling halfway into that area. And you're probably going to notice on this camera that I'm getting an orange color. And if you're really wanting to get that third gradient color, you're going to go back in, picking up and putting down your light color and your dark color. Okay. The thing that's different about oil pastels in comparison to chalk pastels is that whatever light color you're working with is going to get some residue of the darker color on it. So one way of cleaning that off is simply making some marks or wiping it off on a paper towel. So that way you are not transferring that dark color into a new clean area or a light area. Okay. Going into the next one where we're going to be doing a two-tone blend with your finger. So I'm going to put down my dark color first. And I'm just going to quickly fill this in. And then bringing in my light color. And then I'm going to use my finger to blend these two colors together. The thing is, I want you to realize when using the finger blend method, some people like to use this because they like to have the control. The reality is that if you use your finger, the oil on your skin is going to cause the oil on the paper to move just a little bit more. And also, this may sometimes not work as well as you would initially think because you have to really build up your layers. Your layers have to be almost even on the paper in order for this blending technique really to work. Some people are able to get some really good results with this particular method. I'm not one of those people, but this is an option. Let's say if you're wanting to do like kind of like a smudged look on your work. Okay, so that is a two-tone blend with your finger. Sorry, the paper is moving. All right, so the third technique, which is going to be different from the previous one, you're still going to grab two colors. But what you're going to need in addition to that is just a little bit of oil. It can be olive oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, peanut oil, whatever. You're needing some kind of form of oily lubrication. Okay, so I'm going to put down a little bit of black halfway. Okay, and then putting down some white. Okay, and it's already kind of blending because that's just the nature of black and white. Then I'm going to take my oil and I'm going to come in and really, using a swirling motion, blend these two colors together. The cool thing about using oil is that you're essentially like liquefying the colored pigment. Oil pastels already have oil in it, but it's not at the concentration like this. You essentially can use it as a paint. Okay, and it's probably not going to get as clean or clean results as we move into the white area. Yeah, it's getting more gray, so I'm going to try and swirl my brush a little bit more. But you get the idea. You can really get some really cool results of this technique if you're wanting kind of like a smudgy, oily kind of look. Oil does take some time to dry, so just be mindful of that when you're putting your pieces away. The last one is going to be a replication of the little stroke, but just using oil pastels. So I'm going to grab two greens. This is a dark green, and I have a lighter green here. So using the similar techniques that we did in the chalk pastel, except I'm going to then layer up with my lighter area. The key thing with little strokes is that if you're wanting your marks to be in one direction, you have to be very intentional about not moving and switching ink directions. If you're really wanting to layer up on this particular one, you can. That's the cool thing about oil pastels is you can layer up your colors and they blend just a little bit more. I'm not sure if my camera's picking up on that. Not really. So I'm going to add more dark tones to make it a little bit more interesting. Okay, so those are the three blending techniques for these two mediums. We have our chalk pastels and our oil pastels. In addition to this video, I'm going to be discussing the mini project that I have assigned using one of these two medias. On a smaller piece of paper, you're going to create a mini project illustration demonstrating a variety of things. You're going to create a mini illustration using one of the media we have practiced, either that being chalk pastel or oil pastel. Your mini project illustrations need to have the following. You need to use the theme of flight. It's up to you what that means or looks like. You're going to use at least 2 of the blending techniques for either of the medias, either 2 of the 4 techniques for chalk pastel or 2 of the 4 for the oil pastels. You're also going to make sure you use at least 3 colors. Black is not going to count for the 3 colors. So let's say you did green, yellow, and orange. If you wanted to use black, you can, but it can't be one of the 3. Right? This is all posted in Google Classroom. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Great. Good luck.